Cuttino, how are you?
I'm amazing, man. It's good to see you.
So
Joy, it's good to see you as well.
I'm going to throw this out there. So Westbrook broke up with his agent. He got booed at home. And he's even reacted to it. It's been very uncomfortable. I said a couple days ago, I'm just tired of talking about Russell Westbrook. The whole thing doesn't work. Everything works with LeBron. This doesn't work. And so they can't really trade him. Certainly they could at the All-Star break, expiring contract. If you were Russell Westbrook, the fans are being tough on you. You're tired of the criticism. Even though it's your hometown, it doesn't appear to work and you're taking all the blame. And you are, it appears to me, a diminishing player in terms of he has hit his peak. What would you do? Would you just say, I want to cash out, a buyout? What would you do?
Well, I mean, you have 1 year so far with the best to ever pick up a basketball with LeBron James. And you have AD. So for AD and Russell, and I'm going to go back to Russell in a second. For AD, I'm going to take LeBron's strength and conditioning coach, and I'm going to kidnap him.
Yeah.
And then for Russell, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the best shooting coach in the world. That's what I'm going to do, because I think that's what, when the older you get, I think you don't have to do as much, right? So Russell's playing like a Ferrari where it should be more of a stick shift kind of thing. And when you have a LeBron James and an AD, I think you, after this failure of a year, now this year you can look back. The best thing about when you fail, you can start over, and you can start over with knowledge. So now what I think, Russell should do, because Russell's a great player, it's just that what got him in the league, the ego, the bravado, the strong will, is hurting now.
Yes.
And I love him. I've known him since he was in college, a freshman in college. So I know his mentality, and it's hard to click off when you've become so successful at it. But now you have to take a step back. And then now what you say is one of my phrases I say is, purpose has to be before ego, right? So what is your purpose, right? If your purpose is to reclaim their fan base in LA because your hometown, and, win one for your hometown and prove everybody wrong, then you have to tuck the ego, get you a shooting coach, and go from there. And then now, when LeBron's out the game, you do this. When he's in the game, you'll be able to, sometimes you're spotting up, sometimes he's spotting up. But you guys are running the team like you should be. He's an athlete, and he's strong-willed, and he's one of the best to play the game, right? Just because his stats show, it's triple-double, but that's still a lot of energy. Right? He's passing the ball to guys, and they're making layups, and they're making jump shots. And I think for Russell, what I would do, just sit him down and say, listen, it's not working like that anymore, right? And you hopping from Houston to Washington to here to there, and, the same story is being set and built on you. Let's take a step back, because you're a great person. To me, he's an amazing person.
He's got big charity business, good with kids.
I think he's an amazing person. So now let's not tarnish that. Let's just say, okay, listen, what am I lacking? Well, I'm turning the ball over too much, and maybe I'm turning the ball over too much because I'm doing too much.
I've got the ball in my hands too much.
Right. Maybe I need to catch and shoot sometimes. Maybe I need to come off pick and roll and get somebody else involved in it. But I think the number one thing for him is work on that jump shot, because then it'll open up more and slow things down better.
So there's no market really for Westbrook, a small one for KD reportedly, not a market for Kyrie. Harden didn't have a market. He had to take a cut. There would be no market for Ben Simmons, that's an enigma I can't explain. So it's almost like the teams are looking at the Warriors, the Celtics, Miami, Milwaukee, and saying, no, we've done the diva thing. Mm-hmm. We're going with culture, because it's a winning way more last 2 years. What do you think? You think, why is it suddenly, 2 years ago, we were all in on Brooklyn, 3 years ago. Now, there's no market for this stuff. What's happening?
Well, I mean, if you look at the common denominator is the superstars, right? And all these teams you just named, the Golden States, the Milwaukees, the Miamis, right? The Bostons. They're not divas at the moment. I don't know. Boston is diva at the moment, right? They may smell themselves next year. I don't know. But Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, right? And then Jimmy Butler, right? And then you have Pat Riley.
Right.
So then you have Golden State, where Steph Curry is the guy.
Yeah.
So they move to that tempo.
Yeah.
So when you have all these other teams, I love James Harden, but it's on and off. It's here and there. It's like you don't know if he wants to party or if he wants to play. And then you have Kevin, where it's like Kevin's not a vocal leader.
No.
Kevin leads by playing.
Yeah.
So to keep the household right, you have to jump in your teammates' butt.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's that guy. Right. So I think what the owners are doing, my perspective, what the owners are doing is say, well, you know what? Like you say, we're not going for these headaches, right? Like we need a leader who's going to follow suit, right? Be a leader, right? And then when something jumps off in this locker room, they can handle it the right way. But when you have 1,000 chefs in the, the kitchen, it's hard to really find a certain ingredient and identity of what the food's going to taste like. I just don't, I think those owners are saying, okay, you know what? Let's stick together. Whoever wins, but we're not going to let them take over. So it's like that battle, the chicken and the egg, right? Where the players have power, now the owners trying to get their power back, and what do you do?
Yeah, it's I don't think it's terrible for the league that it's driven by culture and remaining who drafted you. Right. I think ideally that's perfect. Doesn't always work. You have bad owners, you have bad GMs, you have bad rosters. But I do think we're pivoting to a culture, draft and develop, stick with your guys. I think LeBron created this mobility movement, and I think it lasted 10 years. And now people are going, for all that movement, we're not getting enough titles. Right. And the teams now that are good didn't move as much. It's Giannis staying. It's Tatum staying. And by the way, life is cyclical. We may move. It could be we're going to have a great star move. If Durant goes to Miami and wins, then everybody's going to be like, you got to move. You got to move the chest. So, as you know, life is cyclical. It just, I think we are pivoting to let's keep our dudes. Let's draft and develop our dudes. Let's not go get the big ball dominant guy. And I don't think it's necessarily bad for the league. So, Joy and I were talking about this morning. It was the team this morning we were talking about this. I like Donovan Mitchell. I like him. I really do. But when I saw Sunday, I think I was on Twitter, and Danny Ainge wanted 6 picks and 5 nicks for Donovan Mitchell. I'm like, this is insane. I would give you the forward I like, the vertical forward, Obi Toppin, and 2 first-rounders.
Okay.
Maybe a third. 6 picks, 6 players. The Rudy Gobert trade kind of messed things up. I feel like you've heard of a housing bubble or a stock market.
Yes,
I feel like we're in a trade bubble. Is that the Rudy Gobert trade screwed the whole league up? What would you give? You're the Knicks. What would you give up to get Donovan Mitchell?
That's very tricky. I think when you ask for a lot, right? When Danny's asking for that, I think he's being
he's manipulating
facetious.
The discussion.
No, but I think he's like I dare you to do that because I'm not trading my star. So I'm going to ask for the moon, and if you can't get there, he's staying. I tried, but right? Like I think it's kind of like that thing to me when you ask for. That's obnoxious to ask for. And why would you ask for that? You ask for that because you know what? You don't have anything else that's out there. He's a good kid. He's a good guy, right? And he's not a headache. So why would I give him away? Because then now I have to restart. Conley and Rudy Gobert and all these other guys. It's like I have to restart over, and I just became, the guy at Utah. It's kind of hard to build.
We were. I was saying this about KD. There's a million rumors about KD. I don't have any insight. But I have made mistakes in my life and been in spaces where I wanted to get out of them.
Right.
You go to a party, you're in a relationship, you take a job, and you're like, get the hell out of here. And I think the KD situation is as simple as this. He made a mistake leaving the Warriors. He wasn't totally happy, but he knows it's good. And in Brooklyn, he just wants out. The honeymoon's over. He's stuck in a relationship. He wants to dissolve it, and he doesn't have the personality to demand it.
Yeah.
I think
I've been there before.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask you. So I think Kevin's like, I can't be here for 4 more years. I can't do Kyrie. I can't do Simmons. I can't do it. The Celtics are getting better. Milwaukee's getting better. I think it's that simple. Kevin made a mistake. We all do, and he's trying to figure out how the heck to get out of the lease. Yeah. So and I think it's hard to go to work for 4 years unhappy. You may be all to blame. So take me to the time you did it and how hard it was.
Well, no. Okay, so it was a joke when I said that. I did it in like personal relationship, and I got out. So I didn't do it when I played in the league. You know, I loved Houston Rockets. I loved, you know, Sacramento for that 1 year, but then I loved the, you know, Los Angeles Clippers. But I do understand, you know, where he's coming from now. And this is the tricky thing, and like I'm going back to purpose versus ego. I think because, you know, him, you know who I am. I'm Kevin Durant, and he's Kevin Durant. Like he's, you know, maybe one of the best ever touched the ball when it comes to one-on-one, if not top 1, 2. Yeah. Right. So whatever happened between Kevin and the Golden State organization, do you swallow your ego and go back and say, listen, hey, I thought it was going to be cool over here, and it's not, right? Like they're double teaming me. It's harder. You know, it's easier when I have Steph on this side and Clay on this side and Draymond and Steve Kerr, and that was easier for me. Right. It's not easy over here. And a lot of people go through that in life in general, right? They think it's greener on the other side, and then when you get on the other side, it's like, ugh, I'm getting 30 and I'm still the king, but like, you know, I don't have a castle. Like, it's just like that kind of thing. So I think for him, is if I was him, I'm like, I'm going back. Listen, to finish off, you get to play with two of the best on your wings that's ever touched the ball when it comes to shooting it. And then you have Draymond Green, who's like a Magic Johnson and can do everything. I'm going back, right? But listen, I don't know if you got to say sorry. I don't know what happened, but I'm literally going to, unless you want to just like keep struggling and fighting and all these different personalities, and you're not that guy who's vocal. Draymond does that. Let Draymond do that.
Well, I always thought Golden State was perfect. So you didn't have to be the soul of the team, Steph. Mm-hmm. Didn't have to coach the team. Kerr was great. Mm-hmm. You didn't have to be the bouncer. It was Draymond. You were kind of come in, take shots. Mm-hmm. Now, the downside is you weren't going to get all of them because Steph's the best shooter ever. Mm-hmm. But they didn't ask a lot other than, we're going to drop some plays and we're going to ask you to hit some big shots. And that's why I think his market is small. If his career started in Oklahoma City, I think we all realized his frustration with Westbrook. I gave him a pass. I think we all get it with Brooklyn. Like, it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. But when he left, I always compared it to this, Cuttino.
It's the same behavior. Think about OKC and then Brooklyn. That behavior of leaving OKC and Brooklyn, that behavior is the same behavior.
But when he left Golden State, then you're like, whoa. I use it's analogous to this. If Patrick Mahomes, it's one thing for Tua to say, get me out of the Dolphins. Mm-hmm. This is a circus. We'll all be like, yeah, I get it.
Right.
But if Mahomes left the Chiefs with Andy Reid, the Hunt family, and said, I want to go to the Jets and play with my friend, we would go into the football culture. We'd be like, bruh, back it up. See a therapist. That ain't right. Right? We'd be like, dude, you can't do that. When he left the Warriors, then it's not a situational issue. It's like a Kevin issue because Wiggins is happy there. Right. Dre's happy. Steph's happy. Iggy's happy. Everybody's happy.
Everyone is happy.
Except Kevin. And I think that move has reshaped the narrative from guy that can't get a right fit to, dude, that was Mahomes and Andy Reid. If you're a quarterback and you can't get along with Andy Reid, that is a you problem.
Right.
And that's what I think the Warrior move, I said it at the time, this is unprecedented. This is crazy. And I think that has left so much, and carnage isn't the right word. The league is like going, brother, if you can't, it doesn't work there. I mean, in your career, are some players just never truly happy?
Yeah, because what you're doing is you're evolving as a human being, right? Like, so you go from high school to college, from college to the pros, and we truly don't even, and I'm being a therapist at the moment, but we truly don't even know who we really are because life is moving too fast. So then now when you're moving, there's circumstances and situations that happen. So now I have to like really try to adjust, and you can't sit back and adjust because not only are you trying to adjust and sit back in the quiet place, but there's like Twitter, and then there's Instagram, and then there's people, and then there's everywhere I go every single day. And it's like, there's no quiet moment inside my head.
Interesting.
Right? So then now what I'm doing is like, I'm not really like, stoic. I'm not Zen-like at the moment. I'm like, I'm so mad at you. And because I'm going back to, we operate from our childhood, traumas.
Right.
All of us, when we get really upset, unless you work on yourself. And I think a lot of us, especially in the league, you come into the league young. So how many guys really see therapists? How many really sit and tell themselves, like, you know what, I messed up. I should have did this. They
How
don't
many
do
Americans do it?
So you got all this money. What are you going to?
Fame, criticism.
Right. Like, you're getting praised to do bad things. Like anybody, but not even NBA, but people, like, think about media now. Like, if you have to do something really silly to get a whole bunch of likes, opposed to just like being a good person.
Right.
Right. And Kevin's a really good person. It's just maybe, he's misunderstood. And when he's misunderstood, he has these Twitters and he has his Instagram, and it's like, and you can't do this to me. And, and I make so much money, but that's not his fault. That's just what ego does to you as an individual.
How would you have dealt with social media?
Well, I mean, listen, I was psychology and communications. I don't know exactly how, but for me, I was getting criticized from the way I dressed when I came into the league. I mean, people were calling me the GAY and, and this, that, whatever. And it didn't bother me because I kept doing it, because my mother was a stylist and my father made clothes, and, our family, my father's mother is Sicilian, and, I'm in Italy since I was a kid. And it didn't bother me at all. But again, if you don't really know who you are, it's very hard to really navigate your life thinking you're something that you're really not, right? So anything someone says, it's like a paper cut. It's going to hurt all the time.
I always knew we got along for a reason, so that is it. It's your background. You're into psychology. By the way, I went to Italy for the first time.
The bread. Listen, the bread. I mean, Joy, seriously.
It was the tomatoes for me, but yes,
the
bread
tomatoes
is really
too.
good.
Now, what's your favorite part of Italy?
Every single anywhere I go, it's just amazing, right? I'm in Florence, I'm in Rome, I'm in Milan, you go to Sicily and it's Palermo, it's Naples, it's whatever. It's like I just, everything has its own unique identity, and I just embrace as much as I can.
I lost weight in Florence. All I did was walk for 3 days.
They
everywhere.
have amazing leather. It's very cheap, especially for women too.
No, that's
you can
right.
bring it back and bottle it up, and
isn't that crazy?
It's amazing.
Well, they don't have to import anything. They got their bread, their pasta, their wine, their tomatoes. You go to lunch. I had a bottle of wine, a couple of pastas, $24.
That's so crazy.
I get out of Chick-fil-A. I'm like 28. It's crazy. I told my wife, it's like, I go through Chick-fil-A and get a couple sandwiches for the kids. It's like $28.
Go to Venice. We eat right off of Venice. I forget exactly what it's called. Vienna. It's the glass blowing, and it's passed down from generation to generation. So when you see glass blowing, that's where it comes from. Yeah. It's really cool.
So do you still go to Italy?
I haven't been in a long time, but I want to take the kids and, just kind of walk around and have fun.
Did you major in psychology or something?
I did. Psychology and communications.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. So I didn't know you went, it doesn't sound like it was a struggle for you. It was a reality for you, is that you were different.
Yeah, man. It's not personal. Nothing's personal.
That's right.
It's just what it is. And then you attract those things. So I think, with KD, I know KD. I mean, I don't know him as well, but I think he's an amazing person. But we all attract who comes into our life, whether it's energy or a human being. So
if I have a bad segment, I have a couch in my office. I'll sit down there and you get a pen and paper and I'll go on your couch. And Cuttino, my ego is out of control. Where do I go? And you have an answer.
Well, you just answered it, right? If your ego's out of control, you put it to the side.
It's hard to do.
Yeah, it is.
Things are in the back seat of the car every day, Cuttino. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd, or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.